Hey everyone, it's your girl, Dr. Shauna and Michi X. We're about to talk about Chicago. And I am excited. As y'all can see, I'm turned up today because, sometimes my conspiracy theory mind comes out. And I really do think Chicago is the first purge. There's some real stuff that's going down in Chicago that we got to talk about. We got to keep our ears on the street. We got to keep talking about it constantly because people have to wake up. Right, Michelle? So we here.
Yeah, it's all kind of going on in Chicago.
In the meantime, in between time, like and follow us here on this page. If you have not already liked or followed this page, I suggest you do it now because all the ladies be bringing it on this page and you don't want to be out of it. We need to have our own voice as melanated people. We need our own voice, and this is where you get it at on Fly Nubian Queen. Also go to our website, flynubianqueen.com, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. You can follow either one of us on our pages. Michelle has her page and I have mine. You can follow any one of us. But most importantly, make sure you hear on Fly Nubian Queen. That's the most important thing. We see people coming in on Michelle. We got Nick. We got Rochelle. Everyone's on. Go ahead. What do you want to say, Michelle? Because you called me. You called me to talk about this situation. So let me let you go ahead and take that lead so I can calm down because y'all already know I'm turned up.
Well, look, I ain't going to do nothing but turn it up some more. Look, first of all, I just want to say what's up to everybody. I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Share this video. It's a conversation that needs to be had. And I will have to say, that there's nobody else I would rather have this conversation with than Dr. Shauna. That's why I called her up like, look, we got to go live about this. So, Chicago got a whole lot going on, y'all, and we need to pay attention. We're always talking about Chicago in the sense of, all these shootings are going on and all of those things. But there's a whole lot going on in Chicago. And I guess the question I would like to unwrap today is what's going on and why is it going on, right? Because the things that are happening in there are not normal in the sense that they're normal without being wrapped in racism, right? So we're going to take a look at that today, right? Like if you looked in the subject box, we're going to talk about the fact that there are 600 police officers being deployed onto Chicago streets so that they can apparently claim to take care of all of this crime, right? We need more police officers. That's going to answer the problem. We're going to talk about why they're really doing that. And then you turn around and you hear about 66 people, right? Shot in a weekend, 47 of them children, but no arrest made. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And then you look up and they're doing things like sitting bait trucks in neighborhoods. And what we mean by bait truck is a big old semi truck full of empty Nike boxes, I guess, expensive shoes, and then abandoned and left there with the door up, being entrapped and left right in the hood where kids are playing by a basketball park. So their target were children. Pay attention to that, right? These kids got in this truck. I don't know if the door latched down and locked on them. Sound like a cage, how you go catch you something, right? Remind me of alligator bait when they used to throw our babies to the alligators, right? That's some bait truck. That's why they call it a bait truck. Got these kids up in there, know they broke. Of course they're gonna grab a pair of sneakers, but without that truck being there, they might not have never ran off to go steal no sneakers. So right, shout out to my people in Chicago, my black people, but Chicago, like what y'all doing to Chicago, the police, them terrorists, the government, like fuck y'all on that tip, fuck that Chicago, right? But when it comes to our people, like shout out to y'all, keep y'all heads up, and we know that y'all know what's going on because I've been seeing live videos and we want you to know that we're paying attention to what's going on too. So with that said, Dr. Shauna, I want your opinion on let's just start with the 66 people shot in a weekend, right? Did you see that video with all the family out there at the block party? And all of them are born at the same place. So 66 people got shot over a weekend and 47 were children.
Exactly. So the first thing that came to me, now many of you guys know I'm a clinician. I'm a doctor, scholar practitioner, and I do therapy with people day in and day out. So the first thing that came to my mind was all of these families are being traumatized through these terroristic acts, right? That I think is set up. We're going to get in, who I think is behind it, but we're going to get on in a second. And there's nobody to help these people heal. What do you think is going to happen? And they know exactly what's going to happen. That's why I think that they're allowing this kind of stuff to happen, because what is happening, our minds are under attack. We are in constant state of rage. We are paranoid. We are scared. Everything is happening. So the first thing that came to my mind was these babies and all these parents that have to grieve the loss of their children. Ain't no parent in the world want to die before their children. And that's the first thing I started to think about was, What are we doing about that? When tragedies hit many other communities, what do? They deploy a whole bunch of mental health people out there to help the people to grieve and to mourn. So I said we are in a constant state, a repetitive state, a cycle of trauma. We are traumatized over and over and over and over again. And there's no one else there to help us heal. Then we're labeled, we're savages, we're criminals, we're murderers, we're everything under the sun. Everything under the sun except wounded people. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. But I know you had another take. So you go ahead with your take and I'll bounce off of you. But we got to really start thinking about this. Our community, do we even have space to heal?
And y'all have to forgive me. I'm just looking down, no disrespect, because I'm about to get into this conversation. I'm listening to my sister. I'm just sharing this. I want you to share this because I think it's important this conversation is had. And you know what? She's right. When it comes to the children and the trauma that we suffer, but we're going to come back and talk about that, right? Like we trumped that conversation for this conversation because as a Black woman, I find myself functioning in the midst of dysfunction, right? A lot of us don't know how to do that and be resilient. But even for me, you know, it's very hard, the shit that we go through when it comes to our children and our neighborhoods and our communities. But I guess I want to bring it back to some, you know, I'm not this deranged conspiracy theorist person, but I actually think that Chicago is being depopulated from Black people. I agree, whether you mad about Dr. Umar Johnson in his school or whatever, right? He's made a video and I completely agree with the fact that he says, I think that we will find out later that the government has sent in a militia, has sent in people
without a doubt
to do these shootings and these killings, right? Because what happens is you send them in, you do all of these shootings, and for those that die, great, you decrease the population because that is their goal. Dr. Shauna talked one time, I don't believe it was on his or one of her videos, so y'all go follow her, right? Because she's kicking knowledge everywhere. But when we talk about the population, you know, Dr. Shauna, that we are actually growing at twice the rate than any other population in this world, right? So even in that,
people to 700 million white people.
Right. White people don't even make, you know, a billion. So at the end of the day, and we're growing at a 2 point something rate when everybody else is growing at a one point something rate,
less
right?
than 1 point something. Only the Asians are growing at 1 point something.
Right. See, so when you think about that, depopulating is one thing, but I also think that they're focused on gentrifying the community, right? We have to be mindful of these tactics, like when they bring in, because what happens is, first of all, you're killing off Black people. But if you can blame the crime on the community, then you can say, well, this is ridiculous. All these people are dying. We need to call in for help. So then they call in these domestic terrorists, which are police, right? And they come in and they say, we're cleaning up the community. And then they start arresting all of these children, arresting our people, blaming these murders on them, filling them up in the prisons, but getting them out of the community, right? I was speaking with a lady in the Chicago area who said that they're handing out, and they're doing this everywhere in big inner cities that are urbanized. They're moving everybody out. The white people are buying up the cheap land, and then they're making prices high. It's gentrification, right? Just like in Detroit, everywhere else. But I had a woman in Chicago when we talked about the missing children. We talked for hours on the phone, and she said they're doing things like giving out Section 8 vouchers, right? But they're out to rural areas and you can get them right now. So people are taking them, and people are told, you know, with the Section 8 vouchers, if you live a year in that community, you can take your voucher and go anywhere. But when that year is up, people are trying to come back to Chicago and they're not being allowed to, right?
Well, before we even get into that, I want to go back to something you said when you started to talk about they're killing all these people, right, for the purpose of gentrification. We know that's true. We know they want to come in and take the land because land has always been valuable. We see what they did to the American Indians. Not only did they purge them, right, and they also forced them to migrate to other areas, right? So the same thing that's happening in Chicago and other areas is happening in our history. And that's why it's so important for us to know our history, because what I want to speak to is another portion of our history that many of us, we tend to overlook and forget, is the fact that they have to first convince us that what they're doing is right. And so we get convinced by this. And what happens is they say, don't you want to have a safe community? Don't you want your community to be crime free? So they get them to buy on to the police coming in. They get them to buy on to all these arrests. They get them to justify killings that are happening because they letting them know your community's out of control. But the truth is, you created the out of control community. You created
Yes.
And then you try to mind F us to believe that, yeah, we need your help to clean this up of all these bad people. And that's how we get people to buy onto all these rules and these laws and these things they put into place, and to vote for these people who's going to clean up your community. And at the end of the day, we get screwed. The land gets taken from under us and we get pushed out. And we find ourselves in a cycle all over again. All over again. And then the pain starts all over again. The trauma starts all over again. We are in a constant state of trauma. And we don't even know it. And we keep believing that everybody's our damn friend.
Yes, they is. I don't that is we've been here for hours. We started talking about that not being everybody goddamn friend. I'm gonna make up some shirts called No Kumbaya. All right. I'm gonna need everybody to write that shit. And when somebody like help us out in our issues, just show them your damn shirt. Okay. But something I want people to pay attention to what you talked about though is how they create. Right. That's what I'm saying. They're creating these things. And I have seen live videos, if you guys haven't, of people. Did y'all see the one where the black boy rode up on a police officer? He didn't know he had his phone on. He was like, what y'all out here doing? He like, we out here killing niggas. Then when he realized that he was recording, he tried to take back what he said, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if officers out there doing, we know the KKK has infiltrated the police department, right? So we know that those things happen, but at the end of the day, you have to pay attention. Whenever a government or a city, any type of a government entity wants to lock down on the people's freedom a little bit more, they create a tragedy, and then they tell you for your own safety, we have to come in and implement these things, and we have to bring in more people. Because there are black folks in Chicago who are actually buying this shit. Like, yes, we do need more officers on the street. Like, my kids have got shot. I'm a victim of this. I wish the police would come help clean up the community. But how would you feel if you found out that it was really like some government officials that was shooting y'all kids?
But they're not, you know why they're not going to find out? Because they have already hijacked the mind of the people. Right. And when people like you and people like me and all the others that come out here and we're verbalizing and we're fighting back, then we become a target. Because you are not allowed, and we have never been allowed to wake up the minds of our people. Have never been allowed. Because we're at war. And see, our people, even when they hear that term, they feel like, we're not at war, stop talking about it. That's what too many people think. They don't realize the first war on our people was ripping us of our culture and our understanding of who we are. The second war was to mind F us, to take away our knowledge and our understanding, keep us from reading, keep us from learning. That was the second war. Those are the two most powerful wars. You only have to rip somebody from their understanding of who they are and then control what they learn. Right. And you got them for the rest of their life. And that's what's happening. And that's why we buy into the nonsense. And that's why we have some dressed up coon in a suit talking about we need more police and all this other stuff. We support them.
Right, you're right. If you control a man's mind, then you can control the whole man. That's why we wear no chains today. We don't have to wear chains today, right? Nope. Because our mind is wrapped in those chains and we suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. So we relate, we understand, and we go with whatever our oppressor tells us, because as well as them snatching everything we've ever known from us, they've given us everything that we know. So if you give away what they've given you, then you're in the midst of nothingness, because we don't have any idea who we used to be. Of course, we're not that anymore, right? But we don't want to be what we are. So when you let go, you're in the midst of nothingness, right? And that's a difficult place to be in. It really is, right? So, you know, I understand. And that's the maniacalness, see, the evil ingenious of white supremacy is because for all of these people who were standing outside that hospital and their family members, they were getting information that they were shot and that they were passing away. And you seen our folks out there bring it back to the trauma, Dr. Shauna, and people are on the ground, they just crying. You hear folks just wailing and bawling in sorrow everywhere, right? When you watch that video, you know, but when this is happening and it's your child that's shot, it's your family member that's gone, and you have been conditioned to believe that Black people are out here on a rampage and we just killing our folks for no reason at all, then your thing will be, yes, bring in more police so that our community can be safe. But police are killing our people. They're killing them blatantly and they're killing them in disguise. Now, let me say this. We all of us that are from a hood, let's just break down some common sense here.
Raise your hand if you're from the hood. Raise your hand.
If we in the hood, right? You know you from the hood, throw up them loves for the hood. I got love for the hood. That's where my people at, right? But when you in the hood, let's be real. When you watch shootings take place, right? We don't just kill people in the community just to be killing them, right? We don't just go past block parties full of 30 people and shoot them up, right? Some people in the crowd, somebody's going to know that this is either a gang retaliation, right? Somebody did something and people be like, oh shit, two gangs are at war, so be careful because they out there shooting each other and you can get caught up in drive-bys. Let's be real about Black people, how our communities work, right? So when there is some beef between one another, we can connect that shit and we can be like, well, you know, homeboy shot such and such brother, he dead, and now look up, his cousin dead. Ain't no wonder. We kind of know what's going on here, right? We don't just go around in our community and just shoot people to be killing, and Black people don't do that. We come at people, whether right or wrong. I'm not saying it's right. Our beef is with those that have done something to us. They are our enemy, and we are in conflict for some reason. Only white people go around and just shoot people up because they angry and be like, oh, I'm gonna just kill a crowd of motherfuckers. Black people don't do that shit, y'all. So my thing is, ask yourselves, why is nobody being arrested? Why is even the census with Black people in the community is that they don't know who's killing all of these people. When people die in our hood, we know who be killing our people. We may not say it, but we know. Nobody knows who's doing all of these killings. 66 people in the weekend. Come on, y'all. I mean, you from the Bronx. I'm from Detroit. We done all had our turn to be in the murder capital of the United States, right? Detroit was there once. We didn't see killings like that even then. And children, come on, I'm not buying that.
I want to say, because as I agree with you, and to add on another perspective coming from my world as a mental health counselor, one thing I realized as well is I know there's something else that happens. If you keep people in a state of anger and you keep people in a state of rage and you set it up and you blame it on gang affiliation, right? Is a gang affiliation, this is what's happening. So now you got everybody looking at each other like, you did this, now I have to get you. I have revenge, I'm gonna go and get you. That creates a cycle on its own. They can step back now because you're gonna kill up everybody in the community because of the anger. There's no one helping them to critically think. There's no one working through the trauma. There's no one having them see things another way, letting them see the enemy for who the enemy really are. No one is doing that. The only thing that the police or the government or whomever has to do is set it off. That's the only thing they have to do is set it off. And because our mind is so traumatized, we would keep it in a perpetual state of violence and rage because we're believing that someone is out to get us. And that's a lot of us. A lot of us. We're hypersensitive now. Oh, and then you got to think about the Black man, what he goes through with this whole idea of respect, wanting to be respected. So now you feel disrespected. Somebody killed your baby brother. Somebody shot your sister. So now you got to go and get your respect. They know this is going to happen. And the reason why I know that they know is because they have been studying us for years. They have psychologists behind this, and they know how we are going to respond in our communities.
Right. But that's the thing. And that's what I try and get to tell people all the time. You know, I have these conversations with Black people a lot, right? Especially being online now and my voice is heard more. I get a lot of people inbox me, I get a lot of folks in the comments, and they'll say, that I'm being extreme or that things are not always the way that it seems. But I would say to them, right back to them, things are not always what they seem. If we don't understand how we are oppressed, then you're not going to see stuff for face value for what it is, right? Like you said, Sister Shauna, our communities, ghettos are created. They're manufactured, right? Because they have studied us and they know, just like rats in a lab, they know if you place somebody in a certain environment and you put these things around them, that they will become exactly what you have conditioned them to be, right? That's why liquor stores are on the corners. You know, Brother's been saying this since that movie, Brothers in the Hood, but Boys in the Hood. But we don't bring no guns in these communities. So where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? Black people do not own liquor licenses and do not own liquor stores. Why are they on every corner? You go to the white people community and their liquor is in their grocery store. They buy their veal and they get their vegan shit and they get their liquor all at the same damn place. There's not liquor stores on every corner, right? So what you do is when you condition people to be in poverty, because poverty is a manufactured thing too. We don't have to be in poverty in this country. There's no reason why people should be homeless. There's more than enough money for everybody, right? But when there's a certain percent sucking it up from the rest of every goddamn body else, that's their damn focus. But when you're in poverty, most of our crimes committed in the community are based on poverty. They know through research that poverty brings out certain crimes, right? Poverty causes you to do drugs, to deal with your right, self-medicate through drugs, and then they pump the drugs in the community, they pump the alcohol in the community because we know this is how human beings function, right? And if you dysfunction their families, you tear them apart, you take the men away, right? You talked about that great scenario the other day when you were on there with Vicky having that conversation, but you take the males out of the community and it dismantles the family, it dismantles the children. Everything that is happening to us is by design. Nothing is happenstance, nothing is by mistake. This is not just life. This is just slavery, y'all. This is just white supremacy. This is just how our oppression works. And if we understand this, then we can make a plan to get free. But as long as we keep on buying that shit and fighting one another like, oh, well, that's not the case, you being too extreme, you're going to continue to be oppressed. But some of us are comfortable in that. We're complacent. Because like I said, when you know that you're not what you used to be, so you can't reach all the way back. We not Africans and African tribes. That's not who we are anymore.
I'm
y'all.
still an African. I don't know
Right.
what you're talking
No,
about.
you are, but you're not.
African.
When they took us from Africa, we don't know what those traditions all are. We don't have all of those things in place anymore. So they stole our identity, like you said. So we don't know how to reach back, and we're trying to find that. But the truth is, we've come a long way since then, even in Africa. So we don't really know who we are on that extent in a large. But we don't want to be what we are. But like I said, when you let go of that, you're in the midst of nothingness. If you let go of something, there's nothing to reach for, because we don't know who we're supposed to be, because our identity was stolen. And so for most of us, we would rather stay in a place of being comfortable, because it traumatizes us even more. I've said that before. When I begin to become awakened to what the truth is about what's happening to us, I find myself in a rage every day. And sometimes it's comfortable to not know. Ignorance is bliss, and that is true.
But here's something I want to say, and I need everyone to share the video. We need everyone to share the video, because people need to know about this, and especially what I'm about to drop right now. And y'all already know how I do. I do my research. Y'all can fact check me. Y'all gonna have to look this up. I'm gonna give y'all the spelling. I'm gonna give y'all everything, but y'all need to look this up, and then I'm gonna get into it. So make sure y'all share the video, like and follow us here on Fly Nubian Queen, and subscribe to our website, flynubianqueen.com. And everything that's going on, we have to understand, like Michelle is saying, this is not by accident. This is by design. And they always like to put things under like the umbrella of some type of funding or some type of initiative to make it seem like we're trying to clean up the urban areas. We're trying to clean up the hood. But in reality, what they're doing is applying for a license to kill Black people and to kill other persons of colors who are at minority statuses, who are not liked and loved in this country. Right? Even Muslims fall under this, right? So the name of the initiative I want you guys to look up is the Urban Areas Security Initiative. Somebody write that in there. Urban Areas Security Initiative. UASI. Somebody look that up. This is a federal government funding. Y'all remember COINTELPRO, right? This is the new COINTELPRO. Mm-hmm. It is the new COINTELPRO. But again, if we remain uneducated, we won't be aware of what's happening until half of us are dead and we're angry, right? Because they start to mask it as though we're killing each other. They're never going to tell you that they're initiating this stuff. Is we're killing each other. Same thing with COINTELPRO. Black Panther Group is a terrorist organization. They need to be brought down. They have all these permissions to do it. The same is true with the Urban Areas Initiative Program. It is funded by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA. Yeah, don't believe me? Look this up. And what the Urban Area Initiative says, let me read it to you. It assists high threat, high density urban areas in efforts to build and sustain the capabilities to prevent, protect against, mitigate, respond to, and recover from acts of terrorism. Did y'all hear me? It is set up to assist the urban communities to recover from acts of terrorism. So who's the terrorists?
The police.
No, they're not doing it. No. That's the mistake we keep making. They're saying that we are the terrorists.
But we're not. And
let me finish reading the program. Give me a second, sis. They're saying that we are the terrorists. So this funding is being funneled to police departments to help them get rid of the terrorists. They're not helping to get rid of terrorist police because they don't think that they are the terrorists. They're saying we are the terrorists. And what this funding does, it provides financial assistance for them to address the multi-discipline planning and organization, including equipment, to make this happen. So you wonder why you have the military police actions that are happening. Because the funding is paying for those military trucks. The funding is paying for their high assault rifles and all their other gadgets that are designed to bring us down in 2.5 seconds. The terrorists, they're paying for the robots to go into your apartment and blow your apartment up. This is being done because they have identified us as terrorists. And when we don't know about this funding and these initiatives that these police departments are getting in these urban communities, we are unaware of what's happening. So when you say, sis, that they have hired 60 new police officers and they deployed them to the street is because of this funding.
Right. But that's why they're telling the stuff they're telling to make us the terrorists in everybody's eyes. So they have to bring in those 600 more police so that they can justify it, because Black people are the danger is what they're saying, right?
Absolutely.
But I want everybody to understand that white people have killed more Black people than Black people have ever killed Black people. Let's make sure we understand that perspective, right? In this country, white people have killed more Black people than Black people ever have. So stop buying that hype that we kill more of our people than they do. We just don't understand all the ways that they kill us and that they are behind the roots of what kills us. So if we understand that, we know that white people are the #1 killers of Black people. It's not Black people, right? But you're right. That's what they do. That's what we were saying earlier, you know? So while we're talking about, sis, the fact of them setting up people's minds and getting us to think that Black folks are the terrorists and that these government entities need to spend more money and come in to control all of these crazy terrorist Black people, because that's what they want us to think. Let's talk about this bait truck.
Girl, you know I was livid, right?
Right. I mean, because our babies are the targets way too much.
Because I'm going to take a mental health perspective on this about the adolescent's mind. But go ahead. You go ahead and you start this.
Well, for those of y'all that don't know, okay, in Chicago, as well as these 600 new officers, all them people that keep getting killed, and we don't believe that it's Black people killing them. We do believe, if you're just tuning in, you know, if you are just tuning in, go ahead, subscribe to FlyNubianQueen.com, like the page, share this video, and you can follow me at Dr. Shauna. Our personal information is in the description box. But, you know, we talked about how many kids are getting killed, how many people got shot. In Chicago over the weekend, 66, 47 with children. We're talking about the 600 new police officers that they're going to deploy in the streets because they want you to believe that Black people are outrageous and they have to go and lock all of our people and our children up, because you know all the youth are going to get blamed for these murders, and they're going to lock our kids up with or keep shooting them. Let's think about the ages of the youth, people who really get shot. There are young children, right? I don't care if they're 21, that's somebody's child. I have a child that's 23, that's a baby to me, right? So they keep killing up all our babies. So Chicago also just recently did
if your child is Black, it's not a baby.
Right. When he was like 8, he wasn't a baby. They'll make your Black 8-year-old
10. He was a full-grown adult.
Right. They feel for their life. When your 12-year-old in the park with a play gun.
Their babies go up to 26.
Right.
Our baby started 10, and we fall into the stupidity when we kick our children out the home at 18. But that's another conversation. Go ahead.
Right. Because the attack is on our children. If you can get rid of our children, you can control their minds, you can kill them, you can imprison them, then there's no future for the future, no hope for the future. So they take this truck in the hood, right? To get to what we're talking about. They take this truck, a big semi truck, they put it in the hood and they park it like it's abandoned. And they leave the door up with empty Nike boxes in there with expensive shoes, and that they know that in the hood people are poor and kids don't have these things. And they park it no less in the hood. They park this shit right by a park where kids play basketball and the kids are out there. So who's their target? They claim that they're putting the bait truck. They do this everywhere or whatever. But the bottom line is, just because a poor kid don't have a lot of shoes and school is about to start too, I want y'all to think of the mentality in that. How many kids got to start school and mamas ain't got no money for no shoes? So you wait till the kids go to the park, you wait till they playing, and you put it in that spot. Now that child that might've tried to grab a pair of shoes because it was left abandoned and the door was up may have never on his own went into a store and tried to run out and steal some shoes. But when you put him in that position and you play with their mind frame, knowing they're in the hood, a lot of kids, we condition them to want these Jordans, want these shoes. We can entrap them and put the bait right here, and we can leave it. School is about to start, so you know that they need these shoes, right? Because some of them ain't gonna get none, and they sat the truck there. And my understanding is that a bait truck is not just they get on and run off with the box of shoes and the police chase them down. When you hop up in the truck, because you have to get up in the truck to reach the shoes, the door closes down on you just like a goddamn trap, like you catching kids with nets and in a cage. Same way they used to take our babies and throw them away as alligator bait and tie them alive. Didn't even have the decency to kill them first and let these alligators eat these kids to get them to make clothing for them. So this is what the police department is doing, right? So I'm gonna say that they out there shooting these people because it's not all Black people shooting them. These police officers, government people, they have sent in some type of militia. I'm agreeing with Dr. Umar on that. And they're out there killing our people, and they're setting our babies up with these bait trucks. And now they're pulling in the police that are gonna kill even more of these babies in Chicago as they're running from these police, because they're gonna be pulling everybody over, messing with people even more. And they're gonna be pinning these murders on these babies when they're not the ones killing them.
I want to address that bait truck situation, that entrapment. Let's call it for what it is. It's an entrapment.
Right, it's entrapment.
is an entrapment scenario, which is an entrapment for those who don't know. I know many of us do, but some people don't know. Is where law enforcement, they set up a coercion or overbearing tactics so they can induce someone into committing a crime, right? So when you think about it, and I'm coming from my perspective as a clinician, you think about it, you have these 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. People would say, well, then don't go on the truck then. Don't go steal. They're not being realistic. First of all, even if they come from a good home, don't assume that all these kids don't got supervision or parent. Just think about it. Peer pressure is real. There's a lot of studies on peer pressure and how it affects in a developing mind. So even if I'm not sure, I'm ambivalent about getting on this truck, if I see my friends doing it and I'm in puberty, adolescent stages, chances are if they're doing it and they look at doing it and they're like, oh my God, they got red bottoms in here. Oh my God, they got Nikes in here. Chances are I'm going to be enticed to do something too. Not that I'm necessarily a criminal. Not that I have a history of criminal acts, but I'm doing what adolescents do. That's what teenagers do. I made stupid decisions at 18. I made stupid decisions at 17 and 16 and 15 years old. Things that my mother would have wringed my neck over. I did. We all have done it. But do you think the police department cares? It is part of their plan. And then there's so many of us ignorant, we fall into this. And we start agreeing with a whole bunch of these stupid idiots out here that says they should have never got on a truck. That's stupid. But they don't think about the fact that they wouldn't put this entrapment truck in my neighborhood. They wouldn't put this truck in you know, Becky and Susie's neighborhood. They
Right.
wouldn't do it there.
Right.
Put some Oxycontin in a trailer park on a truck and see how many drugged out whiteheads get on that truck and try to get them pills. But they're not going to do it there. So it's something seriously wrong with this picture that we need to wake up on. We need to wake up on. And they know the minds of our people are already damaged. We're not critically thinking. We're not having legacy thinking in mind. Where do we want to see our children in the future? Where do we want to see our families in the future, our marriages, our relationships? We're not thinking legacy, especially when you're in the hood. You thinking today and today only, because you may not live till tomorrow. Our minds. So we got to stop jumping to these conclusions and downing our own people and start looking at the bigger picture of what's really going on here.
Well, you know what it is, because some of them mind is coming out in these comments. People are saying that it's not entrapment. Like you said, that kids shouldn't be taking sneakers and stuff. But at the end of the day, that's the problem, is that we don't understand how the mind works. Kids are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And actually, this is not my opinion, because I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Entrapment is exactly what you said it is, Dr. Shauna, but it is also the thing that says not otherwise coerced, that person probably would have never committed that crime.
Exactly.
And without that truck sitting there, that is part of entrapment, those kids probably wouldn't have gone off and stole sneakers, right? You know, they wouldn't have ran in a Foot Locker at the mall with a crew of people and been like, yo, let's just grab sneakers and run out. The fact that it was left abandoned, they're like, why is this sitting here? This is abandoned. Why would somebody leave this truck? Other kids are willing to do it. They don't have sneakers. I want us to also think about the fact that when they came to the hood, I want y'all to think about what they used for bait. What does that say about us?
Nikes and red bottoms.
Red bottoms.
Now.
What do you think that they think about us? They like, oh, just put some sneakers and some red bottoms in this truck and these niggas is gonna fall for it. That's what they say.
Besides the fact that they have 1,001 songs that they are behind manufacturing us to love Jordans and red bottoms and you name it, manufacturers for other things. So now you listening to this music constantly over and over and over and over again, and your head, now you're conditioned to want what? Your Nikes and red bottoms. So don't sit up there and tell me it's not entrapment.
It is, and to do that to children, like that's what children are supposed to do. A lot of people on here don't have education like me and you, Dr. Shauna, in psychology, and until you get that, you don't really understand that. But the truth is that children do not develop reasoning until they're about 25 years old. That's when your full reasoning is developed, right? Until then, right, you're working.
You're able to stay on your parents' insurance until you're 26.
See, so and that's part of the reason why you also cannot you're not of legal age to drink till you're 21, because they understand that even though at 18 you could be tried as an adult, shit, at 16, 17 you could be tried as an adult, but you can pay your bills. You're supposed to be responsible when it comes to the government, but they won't let you drink till you're 21 because they understand your reasoning is not developed and you're too young, even still at 21, to be drinking and maybe driving and making certain decisions. They don't trust you to do that. That's why you can't drink liquor till you're 21. But
unless you're in
right,
Canada.
right. But everything else is supposed to be, oh, these children should understand. And what we mean by your reasoning is your logic to look at the bigger picture, to look down the road, to maybe think about consequences and say, this is not really worth it, right? Children move in the moment. They work on nothing but emotion. When the reasoning is not developed, the only thing that they have to go on is emotion. And that emotion is based on peer pressure, what everybody else is doing, how you feel, what you don't got right now. They're not thinking that this cage is going to come down on them, that they're going to be in trouble, that they're going to go to prison. Had they thought about all of that and they were old enough and there was an older person around, be like, this is fishy. This truck sitting here open like this, man, don't do that. An adult can reason that, but a child cannot, right? A child cannot do that. It's the same tactics of a stranger using candy to lure a baby into their car to kidnap them. Like, they know what they're doing, and that's why they did it. See, we don't all have that understanding, but these government entities and the people higher up understand completely how we work, how our mental is, how people work, what you do to entrap people in their mind, and how you condition them. And they know this because not only are they responsible for pumping out all of the music, right? Those aren't black labels. Those black rappers work for white people, and they will tell you what will be pushed out and what will not be pushed out.
Yep.
So what's in the media, what's in the music, we will condition you to think that red bottoms and Jordans matter to you. And then once we know we've conditioned you to do that, we know that it's working. That's why we went and got these red bottoms and these Nikes to trick your ass, because we already know what we have conditioned you to want.
What does it say in that song? We got you to love our wealth and hate yourself, right?
Right.
Love our wealth and hate yourself. They already know what's going to happen. It's already been happening. They studied it. They know what we're going to do. So we got to really stop jumping to the conclusion. And then, and I haven't even heard you talk on the educational system. The education system in most urban schools, not all, but in most urban schools, they're not teaching you critical thinking skills. They're not teaching you that. They're not developing your cognition, your cognitive thought, your state of mind. They're not developing that. It's bad enough. Too many of the kids are still failing. No Child Left Behind was a joke. So they already know that your cognitive ability is already behind.
Right.
It's already behind because it's not being developed properly. Then we have babies having babies, so to speak, right? And they're not developed in their mind. They don't have the proper education in their mind. So this thing goes on and on and on again. They know exactly how we are going to respond and behave. So we really do need to start getting on one accord. We really do need to start educating the people. We really need to entertain these thoughts as opposed to finding holes in them and trying to shoot it down. Really just understand the conversation and see what you can take from it so you can go back to your family and to your kids and start to recondition their mind. Hell, recondition your own mind.
This is true. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because you know, most people don't. I am one to address some stuff in the comments sometimes, but there's a lot of people, just not thinking in that extent. And I will tell you that every time I come on here, I know I address it all the time, and that's my pet peeve because I get tired of people saying it. Well, what's the solution? What's the solution? Y'all just talking, and we can talk till we blue in the face. Like, I feel a little bit offended that all of y'all expect for me and Shauna to come up with the solution for our whole race. Like, how does that work? Isn't that like all of our responsibility? But the first place of getting it fixed starts with having these conversations. It starts with talking about them, because there are plenty of people on this feed and on this live, and if you share this video, that don't even know that all of this is going on in Chicago. There are a lot of people that don't understand how the government works. There are a lot of people that don't know anything about what's going on right now, and if they do, they take it for face value. A lot of our people will look at that situation and say, well, they should send 600 police officers out in the streets of Chicago to protect our people. If we don't tell you why that's not a good idea, right? For our people. Now, for anybody else, I don't give a damn about them. But for Black people in Chicago, that is not a good idea for us, right? And some of us will still believe that. So it all starts with gaining an understanding. Did we not just tell you that the biggest weapon that we have used against us in this place is our minds, right? If they control our minds, if they condition us, then they can control the man and they can control the person, right? And so where would you start to find the answer? Wouldn't it start with unconditioning your people's mind? Wouldn't it start with having these conversations? Because before you can even get to the solution, don't we have to unwrap what the damn problem is? So many of us don't even know what the problem is. So that is my response to all of you saying, well, what we gonna do? Where the action at? I don't know. Do you have a plan? Why don't you get on this plan too, instead of just asking us that? You know what you can do? You can share this video. That helps right there. Thank you.
Well, let me talk on that, because again, people who are asking, well, what's the solution? Then they haven't been listening. They haven't been listening. If you don't know that I just told you, the federal government is funding police departments in urban areas who have identified your people in your community as terrorists and is giving them permission to clean it up by any means necessary. And you don't go back to your home and start really teaching your children and putting strategies in place to help them. If you don't pick up a book and have your children start reading books about who they are so they can get knowledge of self, if you don't buy Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 4, Out of Darkness, or 1804, or any of the other countless documentaries that teaches them not only about who they are, but what's happened and takes them through a line of history. If you don't start doing those things, then that means that you're not interested in the solutions. You're not interested in it. If you don't start shaping your children's mind and start getting them involved in things that are different, if you don't start thinking about homeschooling your children, which we always talk about, then you're not interested in the solutions. If you don't start sending your children to Black schools or Afrocentric schools so that you can take them out of these white public schools so they can have an opportunity to learn and not feel inferior amongst the people that white supremacy tells them that they are superior, which is a bold-faced lie, then you're not interested in a solution. If you don't start building your own businesses and saving your money and investing your money and setting up for your future and stop putting yourself in a position of conflict when you work with the white man, so you can't speak out loud, you can't share things on Facebook, you got to watch in secret mode because you don't want anybody else to know what you're doing because you might lose your job, but yet you won't go and start a business, then you're not interested in the solutions. Because do not come on here and tell us that we do not talk about solutions. We talk about solutions every day. If you don't go into a mental health counselor and get your mind checked and get out of your pain and out of your depression and out of your state of rage, your constant state of rage, and start planning and taking care of you and exercising self-care, then you're not interested in solution. If you don't stop making babies, or if you don't start deciding to stay in your homes with your children so they can have both parents in their home, then you're not interested in the solutions. So don't tell us that we're just talking.
Well, I'll say that too, because you know what? At the end of the day, we do. We give solutions all the time. We give what we can give. But if y'all waiting for us to snap our magic finger and we all be free, that's not how it's going to happen. We all have to do our part, right? And so I would suggest, like Dr. Shauna said, for you ask anybody else what to do or what's the solution and say we just talking, I would ask you to evaluate, like she said, your own life. I homeschool my children, you know, I run my own business and I give people the information of how I started it like that because I want my people to be free. Anytime I find a solution in anything I'm doing to work on that, I share with my people all the time. So does Dr. Shauna and everybody else on here. The problem is for most of the people up there talking about, well, what's the solution? If we gave it to you, half y'all wouldn't implement it. Now, I just did a video about this Asian issue and these Chinese and Korean nail shops and shit. And I just gave y'all a challenge, right? And I just committed to it myself. And I told y'all how we can stop allowing these nail shops to abuse Black people, how we can shut it down, start our own businesses. And there are several things that you can do that you don't have to ever go back to these shops again and be disrespected. Now, let's see how many people really walk with it. Now, I'm going to walk with it, right? I challenge myself. That's why I walk this walk before my people. I'm going to make mistakes, right? I ain't gonna always be right, but I'm gonna always be real, right? And so at the end of the day, I've had, these are my real nails. I've had them done for over 15 years. I get acrylic on them. I like my little designs, but they're mine. I will cut these shits off if I can't find a Black-owned nail salon, right? I'll start my own or I'll do without it. So I'm not asking y'all to do anything that I wouldn't do. So as we constantly give y'all solutions and we walk in the solutions we give y'all, it's not gonna never happen unless we come together as a masses and walk in them. So for all of you that have that question, well, what is talking going to do? I would say that talking starts something, but it goes from that into y'all taking action, because me and Shauna are taking the actions we're asking y'all to take. So
I don't punch a clock.
Right, I don't either. That's why we like that.
Brown boy goes to Afrocentric school. Every day I spend money with a Black-owned business. Every day. Every day. I have investment accounts galore that I put money in weekly on a daily basis. I employ people who work with me. So I am helping to feed families. You understand what I'm trying to say? So don't sit in here and ask me what's the solution. I live the solution every day. But the problem is, like our sister just said, people don't want to do it because in their head, they either condition, it takes too much work, or they say, I like when people say, well, I want to do it, but I don't know how. Even though there's information out there constantly. And then when they want you to sit down with them, all the people that follow us, you think we can teach everybody how to do this? No. We got online programs, but you know, you got to go and sign up for it. You got to invest in it. And you got to take your time. And you got to learn things overnight. You got to learn like things over the year, over the month, over the weeks. You got to learn. You can go to the library and get as much books as you can and take your time and study. It's not like we're telling you anything you don't need. We are divine creatures. We are gods, gods ourselves. Everything we need to succeed is already available at our fingertips. The problem is we don't believe in ourselves. Why? Because we don't know who the hell we are. So we need to go back to the basics and learn about who we are as African people living in America.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge, 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 knowledge. That's what gets us free. Knowledge, knowledge. We don't know who we are. We don't know how we're attacked. We don't understand the enemy. We don't understand oppression. So therefore, you would never understand how to fight something. Then you don't understand what you fight. Knowledge is the first step in getting free. If y'all don't know. So with that said,
don't want to be free.
So when I said that, some people are comfortable. We got to come back, y'all, and have this conversation. Me and Dr. Shauna, we're gonna have a conversation on here. And talking about that, right? Because sometimes it's hard when trying to get free, because the more you understand what's happening, is difficult, right?
I deal with right. We weren't always where we are right now.
No, I wasn't.
We had to start too. So there were some things that I heard too that even though it sounded good, I was uncomfortable doing it because it went against what I was used to doing. That's called cognitive dissonance. I suffered from that too. I was afraid to do certain things. I was afraid to challenge what I've been taught in the religion I was a part of. I was afraid to challenge that. I was afraid to quit my job and start my own business. I was afraid of sending my child to an all-black school. Oh my God, what if he doesn't learn? I was afraid of that stuff too. Mm-hmm. But the more you learn and the more you research and the more you educate yourself and the more you understand of what's going on in this system, we don't have to have people put chains on us. We don't have to have people hang us from trees anymore. We don't have to be hosed down. We don't have to have German shepherds sick on us. We don't have to have signs that says for colors only, for whites only, no niggas please. We don't need to have that anymore because the system has already been set up and it works without having to do those things anymore. And when people like us come on and we're working to give people the information to get them to the quote unquote promised land, we rather criticize people like us. We rather find flaws. We rather find things to say, well, I don't know, where she get her education from? Baby, don't ever play me. I got 3 stripes on my sleeve. I'm a doctor. So the thing is, people don't like to do that. They always want to find something negative. This is the crab in the barrel mentality that continues to plague us. We have to move out of that stinking thinking if we're going to unite, if we're going to move forward. The only thing we have to do is make conscious decisions daily. That is for your people. That's it. Conscious decisions daily. Once you wake up every day and you're conscious about all your decisions, before you put your money on the counter and you look around, ain't no brothers on the wall. Maybe you don't want to put your money on that counter.
Right. But you got to understand how it works to take that approach, So I would say in that subscribe to flynubianqueen.com. You guys, like the page, share the video, follow me and Dr. Shauna on Facebook. We give solutions, what we have all the time, and we are steady bringing information to you. And there are plenty of other people on this platform that do the same thing, right? So we got to gain an understanding before we can ever get anywhere. That's what I would say. I would ask all of y'all to keep your eye on Chicago. The things that we threw out there today. Be mindful. I'm going to tell you that what I'm expecting to see is a large rise in arrest. They're getting ready to start. They're not bringing these 600 officers on the streets for nothing. They're probably going to start pinning a lot of these murders on youth and taking them to jail for them. And getting them off the streets. And their logic is going to be these kids are gang members or they have other crimes, even if it's been stuff in juvenile. So they're black, so they're going to write them off like it don't matter. I'm sure they've got away with some shit before anyway. So we're going to start to see a rise in people going to prison. They're going to start arresting all of the children in the Chicago community. Get ready for a couple more police shootings, because with all of the police on the street and them understanding our people in these streets understanding that we're at war in that sense, we're going to have a lot more being pulled over. We're going to have a lot more altercations with police, and we're probably going to have a couple of police shootings. So just be ready for that. When it happens, remember that we told y'all that here, because that's how all of this stuff works, right? And you will look up several years from now and Chicago won't even be black anymore. They will have completely murdered, removed, imprisoned, and gentrified and taken everybody out of the city, and white folks will own it all. Mark my words, in 5 years.
It's always about land. We live in a capitalistic country. And the only people that want to be kumbaya and help everybody and give everything for free is who? Black folk. We live in a capitalistic society, and we have to get our coins right. Our money has to be right. Because if not, we are not going to be able to move in any area in this war that we are in. And I know people don't like to hear the word war because they think of bombs and guns. Let me tell you something. We are in a spiritual war. We are in a mental war. We are in a war on money. We're in so many different wars. And we are the targets. We are the targets. And we're not prepared. We're not prepared. Despite the fact that we have the information available, we're not prepared, and we choose not to get prepared. We got to be conscious about everything we do, especially when it comes to our families, our Black families, our children, our wives, our husbands. We need to be strategic about how we move every day. Before my children leave this house, every day I go over the plan, the safety plan. If something popped off and we all had to scatter, where are we meeting at? Mm-hmm. But do we wake up like this? And do we think about these things constantly? See, when you realize that you are at war, you got to have a plan.
Right.
You got to have a plan. All my kids got investment accounts. My daughter works. My daughter's going to be 20 in next week. A lot of our kids work in malls, but how many of us make our children invest? Your kids can open up a stash account. And every week she get paid, money comes out of that check and right into her investment account. We are at war.
We are.
And we got to start preparing our families.
On every level, we have to understand how we're being attacked. I say that all the time. Somebody brought up the Art of War. I've read that book. I suggest that y'all read it too. I think it's a whole lot. If you're not revolutionary and you're not worried about going to war and you don't understand war and war, then that book probably won't do you any good. But it teaches you a whole lot about understanding your enemy. It doesn't matter if you're outnumbered, if you understand their weaknesses, if you understand your strengths, if you understand how you're being attacked, then you can make a plan to counterattack. It doesn't matter how large your opponent is. It matters about how you fight a war. And bigger numbers doesn't necessarily mean you win that war, right? But you have to be strategic and you have to understand. And we don't understand those things. So we have to get prepared mentally. We have to open our eyes to what's really going on. We got to get ready physically, like you said. I mean, money is the name of the game. That's why everybody else is above us, right? And whenever Black people and try to get something, they come along and destroy it because they always need somebody to be at the bottom of the totem pole for everybody else to step on and rise up above, right? And they always want that to be Black people. So you will find, another topic, not to get too much in that, but when it comes to other minorities and people of color, they're only your ally when the situation affects everybody. When it just affects Black people, they're not down with that shit because they understand they're reaping no benefit from helping you fight that war. And they need somebody's back to stand on because even if they're minorities, they don't want to be the minority like you're the minority. And somebody has to always take that place. So we have to get prepared in our money. We have to understand they're poisonous when it comes to our foods. We got to stop taking these goddamn medications that they pump our children with. Go back to the African standard of ways. There are plenty of herbs. Go find your herbalist in your community. Do some research. You can treat your kids with herbs, with tea, with all kind of shit for ADHD. Stop pumping that Ritalin in them. Letting white people tell you to do that. There are so many facets of ways we're attacked. If you don't understand them, then you can't fight against them, right? And I will also tell everybody, like I say on all my videos, go get strapped. Like big ups to Dr. Shauna. She be at the range. She teaches her kids. I'm not saying go get strapped and be wild, right?
All my secret, we be shooting.
You're right. And look, she put the video up there. Y'all follow her. Y'all get to see it. Look. But we have to prepare our children and we have to prepare ourselves, right? Because we are at war. And what you gonna do when they declare martial law? Do y'all not know? Let me just throw this out there since we're talking about like theories in the government and what they're doing in Chicago. Let me just throw this out there before we get out of here. But when you look at the kids that are being held at the borders and all of these empty Walmarts, right? What I would tell you is that these Walmarts did not just get cleaned out and shut down for shop like when we found out about the immigrants. I want you to know that they were built for that purpose. If you go back to the Obama administration, you will see that people were talking about these Walmarts that were being built from ground up. But as soon as they got built, they didn't hire anybody. They never opened, and they put barbed wire fences around these Walmarts. And people are like, why did they build it not to open it? Well, now you know. But the immigrants were not the reason that they built it, right? They're just using them in the mean in the between time. But if martial law is ever declared, if you don't know what martial law is, go look it up, right? You would not be able, if black people are getting there, right? Because we don't have our knowledge and the education that we need, we will fight out of anger. So what happens is something eventually may rise up in this goddamn goddamn country, which I believe it is, where black people gonna be pissed, and whether we have any rationale or not, we just gonna go off and start fucking everybody up, right? And then we're gonna really be in some war, because then all the white supremacists that you don't think exist are finna come out with their kids that they've been teaching them how to shoot rifles since they was 10 years old. Okay, y'all better get for real. And then we ain't gonna be no match for them, right? So understand martial law, when martial law is declared in many places, if that ever happens, they need a place to hold folks, because martial law claims at a certain time of night you cannot be out on the streets. That means homeless people, right? I don't give a damn if you got a job. Nobody's out on the streets after a certain time of night to keep order. Well, where are they going to put all those people that they catch that don't stay in the house? Where are they going to put all the homeless people that have nowhere to be? The prisons and the jails will not hold them. We already know that prisons are privatized, so they had to pay other people to hold all the people that they're putting in the prisons, and that's about making money too. So where the fuck you think you're going? So while we steady crying for these immigrant children, no, your ass might be in there one day with a foil blanket on your ass, while you fighting for their goddamn right. You better worry about all the black asses that's finna be up in them goddamn places. So my question to my people are, I don't give a damn if you think we're at war or not. We at war. My question is, are you ready? And if you're not, then you better go goddamn get ready on every level, okay? Because these things are real, you know? And if you listen to Dr. Shana, she will tell you about certain technology. They will come in and push a button and disarm all your goddamn internet. You won't be making no phone calls on that cell phone. You won't be making no goddamn reaching nobody. They will shut your shit down. You don't know those things exist? Yeah. You should go study. My question would be, why are they creating all of these things? What is the government getting ready to do? Do you remember when Michael Brown happened? Did you see the videos where they brought in all those damn long ass trains, them hundreds of thousands of coffin liners, who were produced by who? FEMA, who Dr. Shana just talked about earlier on this thing. FEMA brought in hundreds of thousands of coffin liners that they bring in for natural disasters, where you could put more than one body. You ain't worried about giving nobody no real funeral. You're making plans to be able to throw 3 or 4 bodies in one casket and bury them, because you are preparing for mass death and destruction. Why the fuck is them caskets here? They've been here since Michael Brown got killed. They waiting and they ready for the war that's coming. So y'all better wake the hell up, because the government ain't sleep.
Start reading these laws. Go to the Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI, funded by FEMA. Y'all better start reading this stuff. You have been identified as a terrorist. That black extremist thing is not by accident. Come on, half of our phones are tapped. Every time somebody call me, why is your phone doing that? Oh, girl, please, my phone is tapped. I don't know what you're listening to. Shit. But they collect data. They have been collecting data on us for so long. They have been listening to our phone conversations for so long. They watching this Facebook too right here.
Right?
But they've been doing that for a while. This is not a mistake. This is not a game. This is not a joke. Like, people need to work up. Chicago is just the first city this is hitting. You better be prepared. You better be prepared. Detroit next.
Right?
Detroit next.
Right? I'm from Detroit.
They already hit the Bronx. You can see how the Bronx look now. The Bronx don't look how it looked when I was growing up. Y'all better wake up.
They in a minute they ain't gonna call it the Bronx. It's gonna be New Haven Heights or some shit. Right. That's the next thing they do is come in and then they rename the shit.
They always change the name. Chicago ain't gonna be Chicago anymore. No. Shit. Y'all keep it up. They're gonna have just Chicago, just gonna be the hood, and then they're gonna call everything else different.
Yep.
They're gonna separate those zip codes. And they go, come on now, y'all think I'll play? I can have another conversation about cities and zip codes, how it's designed to keep you out of work, to keep you unemployed, to keep you, come on now, I can give y'all facts. I can give y'all research studies on that. But, and y'all know, people who've been following Dr. Shana for a long time, I bring facts. I just don't spit. I got research over research over research. Anytime, baby, I'll go one-on-one with you. You better have your research.
You're not lying.
I know what's happening. I know what's happening. I sit down all day and just research things. And I'm not talking about no blogs. That's not research. I sit down all day and I pull out government studies over government study over government study. I say, oh, wow, these dudes are setting us up and we sleep. Baby, y'all better have a plan.
She not playing. I sent Dr. Shana the information about the bait truck. It was all over the place, right? Videos. I just figured I could just send her any article. Like, did you see this? And she was like, sis, is there a better credible source? Because like this shit got one paragraph. You know, I'm about my research. I was like, okay, hold on. Everybody's talking about it. I'm sure we can find some credible one. She's
right.
Like,
and I went and I did my research. And I said, oh, girl, it's on. And y'all don't even know it, that even white people talking about this. Did I not show you those white people? I don't know if you looked at the link. But it's this white online show that's funded by Russia because they have to put the advertisement there. It tells you that their show is funded in part by Russia government. That's exactly what it says on the video. And they're talking about the Chicago bait trucks. They ain't asleep. We asleep.
The big news is talking about it. They're saying they're coming under fire for it. So, you know, because I guess the guy did the live video and he walked up to the officer and he's like, you know, why y'all out here doing this? And some of their comments they made. So, I mean, MSNBC, everybody talking about it now. You know,
the game.
You just got to go.
Talking about it now. But we've been talking about it before they got it. And that's why we have to keep talking. And we have to keep getting this information out there. And that's why we need y'all to share this video. We need y'all to share the video. We need you guys to not only like and follow us here on Fly Nubian Queen, but to subscribe to our website at flynubianqueen.com. Why subscribe? Because Facebook's going to shut this shit down one day too. They control everything, baby. You know, political correctness is the new censorship. They're going to shut this page down. So y'all got to go to our website, flynubianqueen.com, and subscribe there. Follow us on Facebook. Our links are in the paragraph, the body of this video. Follow us on Facebook as well. We all got to stay connected. We all got to stay connected. Nobody's in this by themselves. And even if you think it don't apply to you, you're going to wake up one day too when your behind get hit with it too. So that's all we got for y'all. Share the video. We love all of you guys. All of you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Michelle, what do you have to say to the people before we get off of here?
Just that I love y'all. Like, stay strong, stay black. You know, some of y'all be trying not to be black, but stay black, stay alive, stay away from them damn police. And y'all keep your eye on Chicago. Y'all keep your eye on Chicago. I promise you, stuff is fishy out there, and even the people believe so. So let's open our eyes. Let's read some more books. Let's get some more knowledge. Let's pay attention, right? And with that said, I love y'all to life and stand with y'all until death. Let's go damn get free.
Wait, sis. Terrell said, what if you can't read or write? Then
that's why you should watch these videos.
We got videos.
That's why we on here. For the people who can't read and write, there you go.
There's no excuse in 2018.
It's audiobooks. Audiobooks. I got audiobooks.
What'd you say?
Audiobooks, sis. I got audiobooks while I'm cleaning up.
Right? Many of you didn't know about the new federal program. Well, it's not new. It's been out for a while, UASI, but I just told you about it. Because, yeah, you say I sit down and read all the bullshit. You're right. I do sit down and read it because it's keeping me alive. Have a blessed day, everybody. We love y'all. We love you. We love you too, Terrell. If you can't read it right, we still love you, babe.
We love you anyway, brother.